On your Tuesday episode of Locked On Raptors, the Raptors played a basketball game. Brandon Ingram played in it, and he kind of rocks.
You are Locked On Raptors, your daily Toronto Raptors podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's going on? And welcome to another episode of Locked On Raptors, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. It is Tuesday, October the 7th, and I am your host, Sean Woodley. I've been covering the Toronto Raptors for 12 seasons on various platforms. You can find all of my work over on Blue Sky. You can find the show on Instagram, and you can join us, of course, in the Locked On Raptors Discord server, where nobody's overreacting to one preseason game. No way! It's free. Join, link in the description of the podcast. As always, we'd love to see you become part of our listener community over on Discord. On today's show, the Raptors were on a basketball floor and played a game in Vancouver last night against the Denver Nuggets to kick off their interminable preseason schedule. They lose 112-108. The score doesn't really matter. We're going to dig into our key takeaways from the first three quarters before it got garbage timey at the end and all the deep bench guys were playing for both teams. We will talk about Scottie Barnes' 1 point. Oh no, is he broken? Is he bad? Should he be off the team? We'll talk about Mamu, who's loading a six-man campaign. We'll get, of course, into the good, the bad, and the but we'll kick things off talking Brandon Ingram. And we'll do that with Vivek Jacob, Big V from Raptors in 7, his lovely Raptors newsletter. How the hell are you, Big V? It's nice to have ball back.
It is nice to have ball back, man. I was tweeting before the game saying it was like a 25-degree day. We got the Blue Jays up 2-0 on the Yankees. We got basketball. We got Raptors basketball back. Living the good life.
Yeah, when you've boiled your entire life down to the distractions from the hell world, this is a perfect time of year. You're just bathing in distractions. It's fantastic. Let's get into Brandon Ingram, shall we? Probably the big pull away from this game. We'll get into some other stuff that it was kind of interesting from the first preseason game. But Brandon Ingram, 22 minutes played, 19 points, 6 of 12 shooting, 1 of 3 from downtown, 6 of 7 from the line, a couple assists, including a really beautiful cross-court skip pass to Emmanuel Quickly for a 3 in the corner in the second half. It was a really nice debut for a guy who hasn't been on a basketball floor in quite some time, who we'd yet to see in a Raptors uniform in a game environment. Media day doesn't count. Big V, impressions of Brandon Ingram's debut with the Toronto Raptors. Pretty good all around.
Pretty good, man. Like, this is exactly what you got the guy for. He comes in looking very, very smooth. First game in 303 days. And that's a lot of days. And yeah, you just wonder what he's going to look like a month from now, right? And I thought, he was able to get to his spots, no problem. And like, it's the first dude since Pascal, I think, in the half court who just like doesn't look rushed at all. Right. And it's like, okay, this is where I'm going to go to get my shot off. And I'm going to get it off pretty comfortably. So that's refreshing to see. And, the ability to get to the line, 6 of 7 at the free throw line, all of that, feeling really good. And then we got some bonus footage with some pretty awesome cuts to the basket too.
Yeah, man. I don't think the offense looked like its final form is going to look like necessarily. There was certainly some jank, specifically with the starters in there. And obviously no Jakob Poeltl misses the game with the sore back. Probably made it so the starters looked a little jankier than we expect. But we talked about it last week on Media Day, how much we were buying into a month of pre-training camp work for the starters and how it just like, it's not the same as a real game. Once you get into it, there's still some stuff to iron out there. And I think, we'll see hopefully a more sort of coalesced version of the offense. But I think Ingram showed exactly why he's on this team when the jank comes into play for this half-court offense. He's there to just kind of say, all right, like nothing's happening here. I guess I'll just go make something happen myself. And he was able to do that a handful of times. And yeah, to your point, the cutting, I think the threes he took in this game, he hit the one early on, the catch and shoot above the break. The threes were within the flow of the offense. He takes 3 threes in 22 minutes. It's not a terrible clip for him to be shooting threes at. He seemed like there's like this sort of ISO version of Brandon Ingram, who's, kind of been the player he's largely been throughout his career. And then there's this sort of part of the cog, like a cog within the Raptors machine that I think the Raptors are trying to get him to be something resembling, but it's going to be a middle ground, right? There's going to be a balance of Ingram playing within the flow and then Ingram just kind of deciding, all right, it's my time to go. Maybe it skewed a little ISO heavy last night, but the offense was doing him no favors elsewhere, and he kind of had to do that. So I don't really begrudge him for that at all. What did you make just at large of the starters in this game, Big V? Obviously, Ingram was good. We felt pretty good about that. RJ Barrett looked really damn good in this game, and it seemed like the chemistry between him and Ingram was there pretty quick, which is encouraging considering I felt like the fit between those two guys was going to be the toughest to navigate on the team. Again, no Pirtle, so you can only take it so far in terms of your overreactions to stuff. But Scottie Barnes had 1 point in this game. Didn't seem to fit totally within what they were trying to do. Couldn't quite figure out what his role was within the offense. I think there are ways they can get him more involved. But what were your impressions of the way he played off of Ingram in this game, or did not play off of him? If that's the way you want to go with it.
Yeah, personally, I did think it would be like the Scottie BI offensive fit that would be the toughest. I was curious to see how it would play out. Obviously, we already saw Pascal and Scottie together, and I don't think that was able to come together in a way that made the whole greater than the sum. Sure. And I think that's the challenge now that Darko has. And let's face it, this is we've said multiple times that this is the first season where we evaluate Darko with real on-court winning expectations. And sure. I think we can if the offense continues to struggle, then it is going to raise a lot of questions. And I think what we saw in this preseason game is for all the passing that you want to have and racking up the assist totals, like there just has to be a more concrete structure. And I think that if Quickly is saying that he'd like to shoot 10 threes a game, like what did you see in this game that creates a path to that? That's on the coach. And so I think even with Scottie, like you're looking at him, his first few shots of the game are coming in the mid-range. There are a couple of things later that he should have done better with, but there's got to be better ways to get them going.
100%. I think with Quickly, there was no pull-up in this game whatsoever. I think probably largely to do with the lack of Jakob Poeltl. Now, is it great to be fully dependent on Jakob Poeltl to get your pull-up three off? Not ideally, but I think you can probably chalk that up a little bit to, just not having his main pick and roll partner who sets the best screens on the team. I thought off ball, like he moved pretty well. They found him a couple times. He hit that 1-3 in the corner from Ingram, as we mentioned. I think there's a way to get Quickly more looks within this offense, just, kind of making that next pass, kicking it back out, that type of stuff. I'm not terribly concerned there. The Scottie stuff, I do think, is a really interesting thing to try to sort out, because it's not like when Jakob Poeltl comes back, the spacing is going to get that much better. I think it will get better than it looked with Jonathan Mobo in there, just because Poeltl's more of a master of kind of manufacturing space without being a shooting threat. You saw a lot of Mobo and Barnes kind of occupying the same spaces. I think that was a big part of why the offense looks so clunky. Poeltl is just a more greasy player, as it were, to sort of get the cogs moving a little bit. And I think the offense will look better when he's in there. But I think it's interesting to think about the places in which they can get Scottie the ball. There was a couple instances last night where he kind of worked pick and roll. He didn't quite finish on the roll, but that's stuff I want to see more of. We didn't see a ton of him as, say, the screen and dive guy playing with Ingram or with Quickly, right? I think we got to see a lot of that. I think we also have to see him really just kind of taking control of things on the run. And to the team's credit, I thought they ran really well in this game. They obviously forced 1 million turnovers, had 17 steals. Scottie had 3 of them. They were getting out quick. They were hitting ahead. Like, I thought that very clearly was the thing they talked about in training camp, is the thing they wanted to do. That played out in last night's game. Scottie has a lot to say about the transition attack for this team too. Maybe is more of a setup guy than a finisher at times, but I think there's going to be room for him to just grab and go coast to coast as well within what they're trying to do. It's I don't know, how would you look to try to weaponize Scottie more within this offense than we saw last night. Again, I'm not terribly concerned yet. It's one preseason game. We have 6 of these things. You need to pace yourself with your overreactions and hot takes, but not like the most resounding start for how to incorporate Scottie into the Brandon Ingram-led offense.
Yeah, so I'll start off with this. I think this season, so I said that, Ingram and Scottie, like that fit is going to be a challenge for Darko to get right. I will also say that I think the role that Scottie has this season, when you look at the roster, is probably his most natural role since his rookie season.
Sure, yeah.
Where I think in his rookie season, it was, hey, you don't have any real expectations offensively. Whatever you give us on that end is a bonus. We just want you to come in with defense, rebounding, energy, and then whatever happens offensively happens, right?
Yeah, he just kind of fell into 15 points a game that year, just like by doing stuff.
Yeah, and then he had those random nights where Pascal didn't play or whatever, and he's dropping 30 in Boston, and we're all getting giddy about that. And I think now, if he ends the season as the 3rd leading scorer behind Brandon and RJ, I don't think that's like a nightmare situation by any means.
Sure.
But I do want to see him, get touches in the post. I do want to see him getting out on the break. I do want to see him even, there was a play where he got the ball in the paint against Peyton Watson and didn't even look at the basket. Yeah. He made like this cute no look to Mobo, who's outside the paint being defended by Jokic. Like, how is that more advantageous?
Yeah.
And it's the stuff like that where I get it. Like, scoring is not like the first thing on his mind. But yeah, situations like that, he's just got to look to dominate. And I think that alone is how he can walk into, his 16, 18, whatever it ends up being.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, there were a couple instances too where, to Barnes's credit, like he did his early work and he had a seal or he had a mismatch and they just didn't find him. Like, yeah, that's all stuff that will come as he plays more with these guys as well and they get more game reps. So again, I'm not ringing any alarm bells just yet, but certainly like this was the game that laid out, okay, this is the stuff that needs to be worked on within the starters and how they play. Now, I thought the bench and the guys who came in were really interesting, and I think there's going to be a lot of different ways you can try to weaponize Scottie outside of the starting lineup, same as all the other starters, as it turns out, especially if, Mamu wants to go and be the 6th man of the year in the NBA. Yes, we're going to get into overreactions from the first game of the preseason, including Mamu loading up a 6-man campaign. He was awesome. We'll talk about that and how it can help others on the team, plus some more coming up in just one sec. Today's show is brought to you by friends over at FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. It's a great thing if you feel like you know what you're talking about when it comes to your favorite sports. If you think the Milwaukee Brewers are going to take down the Chicago Cubs, throw some money on the next Brewers-Cubs game, and you might just win some money. Same deal goes if you think the Dodgers are going to close out the Phillies, or if you're looking for the happiness hedge, you can throw some money down on the Blue Jays to lose tonight in Game 3 against the Yankees. If they lose, you win and get $300 in bonus bets. If they win, the Yankees go bye-bye, and the ALCS is nigh. It's a lovely win-win situation. Of course, NFL parlays, spreads, all that stuff is available for you to peruse over at FanDuel as well. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the free FanDuel app today and get started. FanDuel.com. Back at it here with Vivek Jacob as we get into our overreactions from the first preseason game. It would not be a preseason game if there was not mass hysteria, if there was not overwhelming reactions to things that took place that probably mean nothing in the grand scheme of things. It's the preseason, man. We've been out in the wilderness for a while. I understand the urge to take what you saw in the first preseason game as gospel. So for the next 10 minutes or so, we will do just that. Big V, let's run through. I think we each have a couple of overreactions ready in the hopper for us to fire out. Let's start with this one. Mamu's winning 6th man, right? Holy God, he was incredible. Super fun. like immediate offensive juice. 3 of 5 from downtown, 15 points, 6 boards, putting the ball on the deck, making passes, 2 dimes, 2 steals, dancing with dudes in space as a switch big. Mamu, he's the real deal. Is he the 5th best player on this team?
Oh man, he was awesome. He was really fun to watch. And again, like if you can just hang on the court defensively and give this team some 3-point shooting. Mm-hmm. Oh man, it is a sight to see on this team. So, yeah, his spacing I think is going to be crucial to this season. And if you get a set in rotation of Yak and Mamu, I think you're feeling a lot better about it after seeing that preseason game, seeing how comfortable he looks, and seeing him put kind of an all around game together.
Yeah, man. Look, I'm under no illusions that he's going to be like an ace rim protector or anything like that. But there were a couple instances last night where using him more as a switch perimeter big just to kind of dance with a guy in space. Yeah, Jamal Murray danced it a little bit and scored in his face a couple of times, but Jamal Murray is going to do that. Yeah. Murray looked like it was the playoffs last night, by the way. Very cool to see. The Nuggets are going to rule. I love watching the Denver Nuggets play basketball. But yeah, man, I think it's just like having a dude who can just bring that instant offense. And then, Dave Dufour talked about this last week, the ability to put the ball on the deck and make something happen. Like, that's not something they had with, say, Chris Boucher. He was not someone you were counting on to make a pass when the ball came to his hands. That thing was going up no matter what. Mamu, it might go up. The gunner's spirit is deep within him too, but there's clearly some extra stuff to his game offensively, to put it on the deck, make something happen, make the next play. He found Ingram on the cut on the one drive that he had in from the wing. It's pretty interesting stuff, man. And it's crazy. He feels like the most surefire guy to be part of the bench rotation of anyone right now. Obviously he got the praise from Darko on media day and was, penciled as the backup 5. He clearly showed out the most of any bench guy last night, though honorable mention Jamal Shed, who was pretty good as well. But yeah, Mamu, 6-man season incoming. Next one here. Do you have an overreaction you want to throw my way?
Sure.
Fire it up.
Is Gradey Dick going to fall out of the rotation?
Oh, here we go. Look. We talk about the Locked On Raptors Discord, and look, I love the people in the Discord, the most diehard listeners of the show. I think they listen to the show. Sometimes I'm not quite sure. Yeah, like you are on the same side as many people in the Locked On Raptors Discord with this very clear take that you believe that Gradey Dick is out of the mix. He's just bad. He can't hit threes. He can't do nothing. He can't defend. He stinks. Get him out of here. I don't know why I just went New York on people's ass.
Yeah, what the heck? I feel like I need to exit the pod immediately.
Gradey Dick. Yeah, it wasn't great last night, man. 1 for 6, 1 of 4 from downtown. Just looked out of sorts. I'm not terribly concerned, I don't think, but there's heavy competition for minutes, man. And if Jacoby Walters is going to look like he did for stretches last night with the drive game, with the floater, with the finishing, and he can offer similar 3-point shooting accuracy with better defense, then that becomes a pretty easy decision for Darko to make at some point, one would think.
Yeah, and I mean, Ochai was perfectly fine too. I thought he was solid in his minutes. So I think, obviously, looking at this in a vacuum, you're going to say, hey, yeah, he might be falling behind pretty quickly. Gradey is going to get his opportunity. That's for sure. And his 3-point shooting could be incredibly valuable. But the thing we've said coming into this season is like the numbers are just going to have to match the profile this season. And I think, the way he's guarded matters, and he obviously gets chased around the perimeter a lot and commands that respect. But I did think also that there was just like a general lack of preparation, I felt. And shot preparation is such a big thing for elite shooters. And I think there is just a little lack of awareness and preparation in this one. And I kind of joked, that he's mentally still at Lake Louise. But, I think when the season starts, it's going to be go time for everyone. And I think, he's going to want to show that sharpness. Like, I get that, people will say, hey, he had to take a bunch of end of clock shots. But even if you look at the first couple, like the three that he airballed on, I thought that was a rushed shot that you don't expect a shooter of his caliber to be rushed on. Like by the time he airballed it, there was still 2.9 seconds on the clock.
Yeah.
And so showing that awareness, and then I thought there was another situation as well where it was just like a bit rushed, and maybe when you're constantly in that end of clock situation, it's hard to shake out of it. And again, I come back to what I said before, like there's just got to be simpler ways for guys who are important to the offense for Darko to be like, hey, we got to get this guy feeling good about himself.
Yeah.
Here you go.
100%. He's got to be better. There's a lot of heavy competition for those minutes, and I don't think he's just going to be handed minutes by Darko this season just because there's not minutes to be handed out. They're at a premium, especially at that position on this team. Still think he's the highest upside, like dynamic offensive option they have amongst that bunch. Even, obviously RJ's, if he plays like he did last night, then he is that guy. But I think just in terms of like lineup enhancement, he's got a lot to say about the best offensive lineups this team can roll out. But it's not going to matter if the threes aren't going down, and eventually, the scouting reports will adjust if they're not going down, and if they know, like, hey, he's not hitting those shots. We don't got to be so scared when he's on the floor like we thought we might have to be when he came out of college. So, not the greatest game for Gradey Dick, but he'll probably be fine-ish. We'll see. If not, they got guys to fill in. Last overreaction for you, Big V. Are the Raptors the Oklahoma City Thunder now in terms of steals? They're just a monster. They're a steals machine that cannot be stopped. Their defense is incredible. Emmanuel Quickley was really good at defense in this game. Jamal Shed up in people's business. Jonathan Mobo's hands are everywhere. Same with Colin Murray-Boyles. Scottie Barnes all over the place defensively. Are they just going to be a top 5 defense that leads the league in steals?
Are they going to be top 5 in steals? Yes. Are they going to be a top 5 defense?
Period defense. It's overreaction season.
Yeah.
Steals, top 5 defense overall.
I am going to say no to a top 5 defense
Coward.
At the moment. And I think, what was the starting lineup? Like a minus 30 last night? I mean,
Mobo's in there. It's fine.
I think for me, it was very good to see Quickley defend the way he was. It was good to see Scottie show the intensity that he had on the defensive side of the ball. But overall, I think maybe a slight concern when looking at the starting lineup versus the bench. I did feel like the defensive identity showed more with the bench in terms of what you want this group to be. And I think there were little things too. Like we praised Brandon Ingram a lot. There was a fast break, a 2-on-1 where maybe some of this is Ingram just playing it safe since he's coming back from, coming back after such a long time. But that's a type of situation where it's the first game. You're trying to set this identity, this tone, like you can give a foul or give a harder contest, and you just kind of just wafted at it. And it was just a nothing play. And I think there were little plays like that where the rotations weren't hard enough. And the physicality of the starting group could have been better. I was very happy with what I saw of the bench and all those guys who came off the bench. I think that's where it was like, okay, this is the identity of the team. And, people say, oh, okay, it's preseason. They're going to ease into it. I get that. But at the same time, like that first summer league game, the way they started it out, it was like, okay, like, this is going to be the identity of the team, right? And I think that's something that the starting 5 has an opportunity to do. And part of why they're playing so many minutes together, part of why Darko had them playing as a 5-man unit together over the entire month of September is because they're kind of running against the clock in terms of getting that chemistry going, right? Like you want to hit the ground running ideally. And if you're not going to be able to do that from game 1, you don't want it to be like game 20 or game 25. You want it to ideally, maybe be game 5 or game 10. And so I think that's where this starting 5, for all the minutes that they're getting, maybe that urgency needs to ramp up. And obviously Yak was not there.
So the overreaction I'm hearing from you is actually the bench should be the starters and the starters should be the bench. Got it. We're going to move on. We're going to finish the show off with the good, the bad, and the to round things out. Yes, it's everyone's favorite, extremely well-named segment. We'll get to that to wrap things up in just one sec. Today's show is brought to you by friends over at Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That is why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance command center that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch is built for people who hate admin. I do not like doing financial admin. It's not fun. I don't enjoy it. I don't understand what I'm doing half the time. But I do have a lot of various accounts. I have work accounts. I have personal accounts. I got savings. I've got my joint savings with my wife. We have our mortgage account, all that stuff. And it's really nice to have all of that stuff in one place so we can see, hey, where's our money going? What did we spend money on this month? As opposed to just guessing what account paid for what thing that we consumed or ate or bought or whatever it was. You can go and check out Monarch Money right now. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONNBA. Wrapping things up with everyone's favorite end of show post-game segment on the podcast. It's back, baby. It's the good, the bad, and the the way we wrap up every single episode of this here podcast on the heels of a Toronto Raptors basketball game, a thing we liked, a thing we didn't like, and a thing that's got us a little bit intrigued from the latest Toronto Raptors action. Let's start with the good Big V. I will go and to pick up your thread, the bench mob. We didn't think this was going to be a team that was going to run a 5-man bench lineup very much this season, and I think they only probably did it because it was the preseason, but holy crap, you had the Shed, Dick, Walter, Murray-Boyles, Mamu lineup out there for stretches, and they kicked ass. End of the second quarter.
5 times fast.
Yeah. Shed, Dick, Walter, Murray-Boyles, Mamu. That's easy. Fine. I'm a professional, okay? Yeah, they were awesome. The ball movement was incredible. The defense was annoying and up in people's business, as you'd expect. Jamal Shed looked really good setting the table. Mamu offering space. Super into all of that. That was my good. The bench mob is back, baby. Again, as Vivek said, quote, and I quote in the previous segment, make them the starters. What do you have as your good, Big V?
Oh, man. Gotta love these overreactions. I'm sticking with Mamu, man. Like, first impressions, very strong. You need a spacing big option, I think, on this team in particular. And I think that, if he can play like that, as you mentioned, some of this stuff we saw, just like being able to hang a little bit on the perimeter, it opens up some lineup versatility, right? And in terms of those options, it's like, okay, maybe there's a situation where, say Scottie's getting his rest and maybe you just roll with Mamu at the 4 and you've still got Yak in there, or, Scottie's at the 5 and then you've got Mamu in there. And I think if he can just hang just enough on the perimeter, I think that lineup versatility could be crucial for this team. I think the 3-point shooting is obvious, but I think that defense on the perimeter could be like an X factor in terms of his playing time.
100%. Let's get to the bad. My bad, Big V, is the fact that the Raptors trailed by 8 at halftime, despite taking 18 more field goal attempts than the Denver Nuggets in the first half. 51-33. They out-attempted them in the first half. This speaks to a couple of things. One, the half-court offense looking pretty janky. Look, they ran well when they got those steals and got on the open court, but when they got those other opportunities in the half-court, wasn't so smooth. And then I think it also speaks to when they weren't forcing steals, they were just kind of getting scored on every single time, whether it was Jamal Murray dancing like it's the middle of May, Jokic doing Jokic things. Obviously, they didn't have their best guy to throw at Jokic, though I thought Colin Murray-Boyles offered some pretty interesting resistance a couple times. the Nuggets were the Nuggets and the Raptors were very much the Raptors in that first half. Glad to see they got on them steals. That was great. The turnover differential in this game was off the charts, and hopefully portends good things to come with that being a real strength of their defense. And I don't think they're doing it in like a Nick Nurse way where they're just like constantly compromising position to get steals. It's way more of just asking like one guy to make the play, or the sort of understandably well-timed help in a normal position of the floor coming to poke a ball away. It's not like, all right, we're sending two to the ball over here, and then everyone's got to cover all the ground like it was at the end of the Nick Nurse days. But still, got to iron out some things in the half-court defense for sure when they're not getting steals. It can't be their only method of getting stops. What was your bad?
My bad is kind of similar lines as you. The Raptors shooting 10 of 42 from three.
They're back, baby. The Raptors are back.
And that's throwing in the fact that Mamu went 3 for 5. So I think we did a podcast earlier where we talked about feeling pretty good about the volume being up, but the percentage not so much. And I think this was a game where you felt better about the volume. I mean, they shot 13 more threes than the Nuggets, who generally also aren't a high volume three team either. But I do feel like even from a volume perspective, this goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's about getting the right guys the shots. And so quickly finishing with 3 3-point attempts. We had Gradey Dick finishing with 4 3-point attempts. I think that's going to have to be addressed if this team is going to be a decent 3-point shooting team. Ochai had 0 3-point attempts. And
look, Jameson Battle's not always going to go 0 for 3. Walter goes 0 of 2. Dick goes 1 of 4. Like, you're not always going to get that. They got, I think, a bad shooting variance game here as well. Look at us talking about shooting variance in the first day of the preseason. We're sickos, man. Absolute pervs. Let's wrap up with the shall we? My Big V. I want to see Scottie play with Mamu at the 5. We didn't see that look a whole lot last night, but I think they're going to need to play that a bunch just to give Scottie the requisite space to operate with shooting around him. Him and Moba was not it as the 4-5. Again, I think it'll look better with Pirtle in there just because of Pirtle's ability to make space where space isn't. But it was pretty intrigued when they had that IQ, RJ, Ingram, Murray-Boyles, Mamu lineup out there in the third quarter. They had a nice little run. I think you put Scottie in the Murray-Boyles spot there, and things look pretty darn interesting. So that feels like it could be like a core lineup for them at some point this year where they roll Mamu in place of Pirtle with the rest of the starters and just hope they outscore any defensive problems they may have there. What was your
My is whether or not or how many games it's going to take before we need a nickname for the CMB Mamu tag team.
Ooh,
I think
interesting.
I think they're an intriguing duo. I think they would definitely I can picture them right now just making their entrances to a WWE event and just beating the crap out of people. I think the way they complement each other is really good. I think that Sandro, again, I think is showing that, he's someone that connector might be the wrong word, but he's kind of the one that can make the other pieces fit or make them more, put them in their kind of most natural roles because you just need spacing bigs on this roster. And so, I think those two, it was interesting to see. It would have been nice to see a longer stretch when, right after CMB got hurt with the ankle. But thankfully he was able to come back in. I think it's going to be a fun duo to watch.
So we have, since last year on the show, we have canonically set up the nickname for Colin Murray-Boyles. He is, of course, the stock pot. There's lots of levels to why it works. You can revisit the podcast last week if you want to be reminded of all the levels as to why it works. So maybe like Mamu's the burner or the gas range. The gas range is the stock pot. Just like we go full kitchen themed here. I think there's something there. I love it though. Yeah, Mamu and
I see CMB and I'm just like, man, that's the juggernaut. like just ready to destroy people.
He is cool as hell. Thank you so much for rocking with the show. Follow, subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend, anything you want to promote for the good people out there. Big V.
Usual stuff. Raptors in 7. It's going to be a big year, so make sure you subscribe. Other than that, going to be writing for Basketball Insiders and Sportscasting, so you can check all of that out.
Hell yeah.
And you can follow it all at Vivek Jacob on the socials.
Hell yes, you can follow me on Instagram, the show Locked On Raptors. You can join the Discord, link in the description of the podcast. As always, it's free to do. We'd love to see you there. We'll be back on Wednesday, with something. Joe Wolfon's going to be along later this week. We'll talk about the Kings game Wednesday night on Thursday morning. All that stuff on deck for you as the week progresses. Thank you so much for rocking with the show. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.